Okay, so in our first segment of Dowsing with L-rods, you learned what L-rods are and how to get simple yes-no movements, how to program your body so that you can get simple yes-no readouts to your dowsing questions. So, for example, my particular readout, the one that I choose, is kind of X marks is the answer. X is a yes. So if I'm asking where's the best spot in the house to do an energy raising treatment to help me achieve my financial goals, is there a spot in the house that would be, is there a spot in the house that would be beneficial? And if there is, my dowsing rods are going to go yes, like that. And if really the house isn't the best spot to do that, there might be another location where it would be more beneficial for me to do some form of energy raising, which we'll talk about, then I might get a no, like that. So now I'm going to show you how to use dowsing rods, L rods, to find direction, because L rods are fantastic for pointing you in directions. Again, we're going to go to looking for either spots to do beneficial energy treatments in a space, or spots where there might be detrimental energy in a space, such as standing thought forms or attachments, energetic imprints on furniture, things like that, that you might have brought into your home. And these things can be hugely impacting on your manifestation efforts. If you're trying to create some positive outcomes and you're trying to compete with all this energetic goo that's in your house. So I'm just gonna show you how to do it. My space is actually very clean because I'm cleaning it all the time with methods like this, but I'm just gonna demonstrate that if I wanted to find, are there any detrimental energies? First I think of my goal. Let's say I'm thinking of a health goal. Are there any detrimental energies, forces, or influences in my house, within the insides of my house, that are having or could have a harmful effect on my health and well-being, especially my health, if I'm concerned about that? And first I'm going to ask just a simple yes or no, and let's say I get a yes, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I can either draw a little sketch of my house, and I can just point at the different rooms in the house, and I can use the dowsing rod or look at each room and say, well, is there something in the living room? Yes or no? No. Is there something in the bedroom? Yes or no? No. Is there something in the kitchen? Yes or no? Yes. And then I would want to go to that exact room and proceed from there with directional dowsing with the rods. Again, you can use other forms of dowsing to get those simple yes-nos with a little sketch, like a pendulum or finger dowsing, basic muscle testing. But to find specific locations, once you've isolated down to a room, the rods can be really, really handy. So let's say I've isolated that in my living room in my house, there's some kind of detrimental energy force or something that is having a negative effect on my health, or it might be on my finances, or it might be on my relationships, whatever it is my goal is. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold the rods very simply like this. You can use one or two. I'll demonstrate with two, but I'm just going to ask, please, I call it the show me technique. Show me the direction. I'm standing in the room. Show me the direction of the energetic problem. And I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to say, show me the direction of the energetic problem. And the rods will just move. You just stand very, very still and quietly, and the rods will move. Remember to breathe. And you just turn in that direction. And then just, again, they might turn again. Just follow wherever they go. And I use an X marks the spot response when I get to wherever the location is. I ask that the rods give me a response like this. If I'm using just one rod, my procedure is, the program for my own body is just go like this, make a movement. Usually the rod will just hit my chest very, very gently. So I might be following, just following. I might go down a hallway like this. I might turn this way. If I'm in one room, I won't be walking that far. But you can do this for your whole house too, in your whole house. But you'll just walk, and you just slowly, if you're supposed to turn in a different direction, the rod will turn. You walk this way, the rod will turn, you walk this way, and it's amazing the stuff that you will find. Just a quick little example. I did this very recently because I used this very technique very recently because I had a drop in my rental revenue on a little vacation rental property that I have here in Sedona. And all of a sudden the wrench just cut off and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I wondered, I did some dowsing and I asked, are there any detrimental energies, forces, or influences in my home that are playing a role in this drop, that have attracted this circumstance where the revenues for my little rental have just dropped down to nothing? And I just, yes, no answer, and the answer was yes. And I said, well, show me, just in the whole house, show me where the problem is. The rods went boom, using one rod, and I start walking, I follow. I'm taken into my office, standing in front of my desk. The rod points like this. I'm standing in front of my desk like this. Is it here at my desk? The answer is yes. And I say, well, where? And the rods go like this, and they point right over to the corner at the desk. There was a pile of papers there. And I asked, again, another informational question, is it something in this pile of papers? And the rods, yes. Okay, this is just my intuitive system giving me information. So I just spread out the papers, and at this point I lost the dowsing rods and I just started using simple muscle testing. You can read about how to do this on my website, sedonaportal.com. I use a simple little form of muscle testing with my fingers. I just laid out the papers and I said, is it one of these papers? And I got a strong response with my fingers, and yes, which one is it? And it was I would never have suspected this. It was a little teeny card from a student that had come to Sedona to visit, and she was planning on going on a trip with me, one of my international tours. I had invited her to be an assistant with me on one of these trips, and she was kind of excited about that, and she sent me a little thank you card about the visit. She came and did some tours here with me in Sedona, and she loved it, but she sent this lovely thank you card, but the thank you card was actually loaded with reservation energy. There were all kinds of there was a huge negative emotional imprint. It's called a negative thought form on the little thank you card. So here's this very, very positive thing. She was just trying to be very polite and courteous, sending a gracious thank you card, but she was having reservations about going on this other international trip with me. And rather than speak up and say that she was having reservations, she was just wrestling with that herself, and her energy field, when she wrote out the note, imprinted that energy right into the card. So it was a negative version of reservation energy. What was going on with my rental property is my reservations just cut off just like that. I dowsed, is this the problem? Yes. Another thing you can do with dowsing is you can do scales. I dowsed on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being highly beneficial, 1 being highly detrimental, 5 being just neutral. So we've got 0, we've got 10, and we've got 5 in the middle. I'll just hold my rod at 5. What is the effect, the level of effect of this little note, the energetic imprint of this little note on my rental business? And it went over here to 1 or 2, something like that. I just simply took the card, as nice as it was to get the card, I threw it away. My rental business shot up again overnight, just like that, just by removing that energy from my house. So that's the power of being able to find things you might not suspect, invisible energies in your space. If you want more detailed training on this, I've got a fantastic seminar called Unseen Energies that can foil your best efforts. And you can check that out in my Conscious Creator training series, which you can look up at sedonaportal.com. So that's segment 2. You know how to get yes, no answers. You know how to use a rod to do simple scale dowsing, scale 1 to 10. And you know how to use rods to point you in the direction of a problem. So next we're going to talk about how do you use dowsing rods to point you in the direction of a location where you can do some very powerful positive energy raising.